This is a situation you need your homework done for this. I hope you showed up with homework done.
I have my homework done.
I got mine. I'm ready.
I am ready.
Man, I am so proud of you right now.
Did you think you were going to get me?
I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie.
No faith in me.
I have faith in you that you would do certain things like show up without your homework.
You can't just twist it. That doesn't work like that.
Welcome back to Talking Story. My name is John. That right there is my literary wingman, the one son, the scion to the Talking Story throne, the best producer on BookTube, and little Jakey Tube Swords right there. And it is an exciting day.
It is a very
exciting day. Look, I'm excited about this because you're kind of early on. I mean, of course, you got through school. You've read. You've been a reader.
Yeah,
but
I know how to read.
Kind of. There you go. You know how to read, but it kind of left. I think it kind of left a mark on you. School. I mean, you not really jumped into reading when you got out the other side. You kind of took some time off. You were kind of done.
I think most people get through school and, you're handed books that you didn't necessarily want to read or maybe weren't ready for yet or just didn't have an interest for at that time. And then you leave school going, I hate reading. When that's not actually the case. You just haven't read something that you're into at that moment. So that
you might hate reading what the teacher makes you read.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I've just recently gotten back into reading regularly.
So now I feel the tables have turned. And we get to have a little bit. I just want to have a little bit of a discussion here that you've kind of have jumped in with both feet. You've kind of seen some things that reading has brought for you, and there has never been a time since I was, I'm going to go 10. I'm going to go 10 years old or so that I didn't have a book. I have had a book going from that moment to this moment.
Yeah, we kind of just want to compare. Like myself as a representation of the beginning of the journey and then you far into the journey of what it's like.
Yeah, don't say that far. It's not that far.
The end of the journey is what we're
Don't say end and stop saying journey.
Well, I'm just saying I have not been reading for nearly as long as you have. So let's compare and contrast what effects that has on your life. That I've only been doing it for 6 months or so and you've been doing it for 600 years, for example.
Oh my God, you're so right. Okay, so you got 4 things written down that reading has brought to you. It's injected some things into your life. It's made some changes about your day-to-day.
Yes.
And I made a list of 4 things after reading from little 10-year-old me to now wizened me. So I kind of just want to have a little bit of a discussion of, what makes it important? Why find the time? It is so hard to find the time. And there are so many things at war with you to take your time away from this beautiful, beautiful pastime and hobby of immersing yourself in story. So I just kind of wanted to have a little bit of a discussion with you.
So how does this work? Do we just throw out our number 1 at the same time and talk about it, or what do we do?
No, I want to focus on you. I want to focus at the beginning of the journey. A young person coming back to reading in this world that is so competitive for your leisure time, for your fun time. I want to focus on you, and then we'll get to the old wizened person that has always done it. Because I don't think it's as hard for me to find time to do it because it's part of what I've always done.
Well, that's an excellent segue into my number 1, because my number 1 is that reading has actually given me, I think, a much healthier relationship with time.
Ooh.
Because
explain that.
I much like many other people, and much like you during the pandemic, you've talked about this before too. I doom scroll. I go through Instagram Reels, and I maybe it's all of us, maybe it's my generation, but anytime there is a split second of free time, I whip out my phone, I pull up IGN, I pull up Instagram, I pull up YouTube, I pull up Discord. Like all these things that I have access to immediately are just. They're all things specifically designed to capture your attention as quickly as possible and then not let go.
Right.
They give you constant things to click on and move to that bring you some level of happiness so that you just kind of forget about time and just do this. Right.
And you get that little dopamine hit and you can lie to yourself like, oh, these videos are just, a few seconds long, maybe
Yeah,
a
but
minute
we've
and a half
all
long.
had that experience where like it's 2 hours have passed and I've just been looking at my phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I've actually found recently that because of that, like in the past month or so, I'll be reading and get frustrated at myself. That like time is moving too slowly for what I'm accustomed to. I'm not, my brain is not well practiced in the idea of just sitting and slowly taking in a story anymore. And that really bothered me.
So you feel like, oh man, on the stimulus chart, I'm not high enough.
Right, exactly. Like my brain was like, oh, I'm not getting the immediate hits of stimulus from this book. So the knee-jerk reaction is close it and open up some social media. So I deleted all of my social media yesterday. Get out of town. Yeah, I have Discord for when people ping me. Other than that, I got rid of all of it. So if anyone's DM'd me on Instagram, I haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
I'm apologizing now.
I'm apologizing.
So what is this more? You must feel like you're onto something.
Absolutely. It's a much more enjoyable day when I'm.
So explain to me this new idea of time and how that's better that pushed you to get rid of these.
Maybe that's just my way of grappling with things, because I feel like there have been many different phases of that. Time moves very quickly for me when I was in college, because you're just go. And then I graduated and I was unemployed and I had to get right with time moving very slowly. You're going to be bored all the time. It's okay. You just get used to the fact that it's not going to be go for a while. And then I got a job and a fiance and moved out, and it's go again. So I wanted to get back that feeling of it's okay if things move a little slower. And reading has given that to me again. It's okay to spend an hour that maybe, since I'm not used to it, feels like 2 hours while I'm reading. That's okay. You're not burning time. You don't need the stimulus hit from Discord or whatever. You can just sit and read. 2 hours is not that long of a time. Get accustomed to it.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
Certainly not. Yeah.
So reading has given me that, and I've really enjoyed that.
That's so a new look on time.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I needed it. It feels like a much healthier way to go about my day, personally.
Yeah.
Have you had anything like, because you did the doom scrolling thing a lot during COVID, you've talked about, and then BookTube kind of got you off of it.
I was going to focus on you, but do you want to go back and forth? Because
I'm curious
I have one.
What you have. If you have one that relates to this, go ahead for it.
My number 2 is personal time.
Oh, there you go.
Because look, I mean, again, there's so many times in a day that you're going to be beholden and responsible to others and situations and things that you need to get done. I have a list of things to do. I have people depending on me. I have a job to go to. There's everyone is inundated with constantly things to do, and then on top of that, whatever little leisure time, free time we can carve out, that gets eaten away these days by, I'll just watch a couple of videos while nothing's going on. Next thing you know, like you say, it's been 2 hours. I'll just, I will. There's so much competition. Now, what I find is the time that I find that is for only me, just for me, when I'm able to shut down everything else around me and just slip away and sink down into my own thoughts, my own visions that I'm conjuring in my head as I'm reading these stories. It is my time, and I'm very protective of it. And I don't want to give it up. It's one of those things that I become, people have certain things that's theirs and they get a little itchy if they don't get it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And reading is that thing for me because it's my time. I going to the gym for some is that, and going to, this is my little space that I carve out for myself. And it helps me to be more graceful and more attentive and more present for all those other times that people are depending on me and relying on me, and I have lists of things to do and other things to focus on, if I took that time for myself.
Oh, interesting. So you're able to use it as almost like a responsibility reset to be able to take in more.
I find it to be almost a meditative situation.
Yeah.
Where I'm able to reset and clear the cobwebs and refocus. Doing this through letting go of all the things that are going on, all the things I have responsibilities for, sinking myself into whatever character, whatever world, whatever situation, visualizing as I do scene to scene while I read, and just completely disassociating from what's going on in my world. You were talking about the doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something that you're very, very present in. This is my world. This is going on. This is frightening. I am powerless. If I'm able to let go of all that for a certain chunk of every day and become in this meditative, calm state and remove myself from all of that, I'm able to function at a higher level and do better when I am dealing with all those other outer stimuli coming my way because I took that personal time.
That's so interesting. You know, now that I know that, that does make a lot of sense, because I will say you and I have like phone calls pretty often. And
sure.
You sometimes you'll call me throughout the day and it'll be like, hey, did you remember to take care of this thing on Patreon? Yeah, I got that. Well, how are you doing? And the call will just go on from there. But sometimes I will call you while you're reading and you'll be like, hey, did we take care of this? Yeah, we got that. Well, how are you doing, Dad? Good. Talk tomorrow. Click. End call. Like that is my time.
Well, yeah, okay. Maybe I should mark this out. It's not helping me get to Dad of the Year, I'll tell you that. Okay.
No, but that's good that you have your own time. That's important.
It's important to you, and you're going to see this, I think. It's interesting that you could already, this early in your journey, see its effect on time, its effect on your moving through your day.
Yeah.
Because like you say, you've got a job, a fiance, as you start building more and more and more things that rely on you and revolve around you and that you're a part of. And I'm loving watching every bit of that. You'll find that time for yourself becomes more and more important.
That's interesting, because my number 2 almost like is the reverse of that.
I can't wait to hear this. Hit me with your number 2.
If you think about number 1 is like almost this introverted space to meditate and reset so that you can deal better with the outside world. Number 2 for me was that it's actually unlocked a lot more socialization.
Oh, tell me about this.
Well,
what do you mean?
Not only through BookTube, obviously, we can talk with people on Discord, but we recently moved to Raleigh, and we have a friend here who I got to try out Empire of Silence. And they came over here and we were talking about Empire of Silence, and it was like, you got to get to Howling Dark. And then their friend was like, oh, Empire of Silence? I was thinking about reading that. And then another person said, I was thinking about reading it. And it became like, suddenly we have 4 people doing a Sun Eater book club, trying to catch up before Shadows Upon Time comes out. That's
awesome.
The coolest.
Yeah.
I was telling everyone, like, there's down the street at Quail Ridge Books, there's going to be a release party. We should all go. We'll be there. And like, yeah,
absolutely. We will all be there. Yeah.
So it just, I was never expecting you talk sometimes about too that when you were living in LA and you were working at Dangerous Visions, like that was such a big part of your life. Was like,
I never worked there. My friend worked there.
Oh, your friend
and I hung
there.
out with him all the time. Yeah.
Right. But you were constantly talking to people. What are you reading? What do you recommend? Here's what I'm reading. All this was so cool. Like, I never expected to have that in person in my life.
Oh, it's the best, isn't it?
It really is. But I never thought that would be there. Never considered it.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. This makes me so happy for you. I mean, I've talked a lot about like working in theater, right? Like after a show, you can't just, you've got to decompress, and you all go out and you have a some time together, a few drinks or whatever after a show, and you talk about the show, you talk about characters, and you talk about how the show works, and it's all revolving around story and how you're presenting that story, and then running the comic shop. It's your regulars talking about this series, that series, and managing a video game company. It's the same thing. It's like people coming in, you're talking about, oh, I can't wait for the next installment of this game for the, and story is such a part of our lives and what makes us up and who we are.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest part of it, you finding your tribe, you finding your people, and it makes life so much happier. So I'm just thrilled that you have that right now, that you got some folks like kind of in a group and you're trying to get to November together. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's an interesting one to me, because that really started happening like maybe 2 days ago. So I have no idea where that's going to go, or like how that part of it will affect my life. But maybe you do. Maybe you know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some folks make it, some folks don't, but it's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You still have.
Maybe they decide they hate Sun Eater and they don't want to be friends anymore. Maybe it's a negative impact.
I doubt that seriously. Hey, not everybody likes every book, and that's entirely different. We all bring ourselves to it, and it hits us all a different way. But you get to talk about what didn't work for them. It's the same. It can be the same kind of joy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is your number 2?
Oh man, I don't. Personal time was my number 2. I don't really have one that really ties into that, but if we want to go back and forth, if we want to go back and forth, I'll go back to my number 1. So
okay, yeah,
okay. So this was, and these aren't in order. This isn't like the most important. I just like made a list of 4 things. But my number 1 was, it helps so much with a person my age of mental acuity and dexterity.
Really?
Oh, you have no idea. And I've read article after article after article, as you say, I'm on this side of my journey. And it's like, journey. Well, you should play a little Sudoku. You should work some puzzles and stuff. And I'm not a puzzle guy. It's not my thing.
No.
I find it aggravating. So
maybe that's
what
the
I
problem.
do is maybe that's yeah. So what I do is, but this I think fills the void for me, because I'm constantly learning new vocabulary. And what I found is, before I really got back into reading, before we really started this BookTube channel, and I was really filling a lot of my time with reading. Before the channel, I was playing way more games. I was watching way more TV. I was, filling my time with other things. And I would find myself lose a word. And it would just be, I would just have that moment where the little spinning dial would be right here. And I'm like, just in the middle of a sentence, I'd be like, and I just couldn't come up with. That happens so much less to me now, that I'm actively reading day to day to day at the clip that I am. And my vocabulary is constantly being challenged. And
I have a question. Is it based on speech alone? Because there may be an argument that that's not because of reading, it's because you're talking in front of a camera super often.
Well, maybe it's all a piece.
Yeah.
It could all go together. I was going to
ask, have you like ever found yourself having issues with memory? Because if so, I didn't know about that.
Not so much memory, but I will say, after starting reading at this level, to keep this many characters and this many stories. Because how many series am I in the middle of that I have going on? And I'm going to pick up the next book maybe in a couple months after I've read another 12 to 15 books in between, right? So I have to keep the characters straight and the plot thread straight. And how am I coming back to this? And the themes in this one move more in this way. And it just makes me, I think, a little bit nimble for juggling all this.
It flexes a muscle that's probably not commonly used.
It absolutely flexes a muscle that I did not find flexing watching movies or TV or playing games. And I was taking in a lot of stories that way.
Yeah. Especially if it's like, doom scrolling. It's like there's 5 seconds of information and it's gone. That's over. You don't need it anymore. Rather than, I haven't read this Red Rising. The sequel to this series came out a year later, and oh God, who is this again? I better figure that out. Like you have to keep track of everything for years.
Exactly. But I mean, I certainly don't remember everything about Lightbringer, but I kind of know where Darrow was and Mustang was, and like the major players. And I do know.
Yeah.
And the other series I have going, I kind of do. It would take a little bit of time to re-immerse myself, and it's those wheels spinning, I think, make a huge difference for me on the day-to-day. It's just a muscle. It's just using a muscle that I wasn't necessarily using, and it's made such a difference in my acuity and nimbleness of thought.
Then I have a question for you on that, because I'm curious if that's a muscle that I have to flex as well, if it's not entirely based on age, because I find myself even going to like the second book of Wars of Light and Shadow. And like, I remember Arathon, I remember Lysair. Is it?
Yeah.
And I got into the second book, I'm like, I have to look up who this person is on the wiki. I have to like, have you found yourself getting better than that?
I might necessarily not remember the name, but when they come back around, I will remember them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I will remember the character. And it's like there are so many characters in Wars of Light and Shadow, for example, that you bring that up.
Yeah.
And there are characters that in the first book, Curse of the Mistrace, during their journey, their travels, they find, he's a small boy. And then all the tragedy at the end of that book happens. And, then during this next book, when you meet him, he's a bit older. I didn't necessarily remember that name right away of who that was, but it didn't take me time at all to go, oh, that's the small boy from the first one, and this is where he is now. So I kept it all in there. I just didn't remember the name, and as soon as I saw the name and had just a touch of context, I was back. So I didn't have to look it up.
Okay. I had to look at it. So I wonder if that's not entirely based on age, and I'll get better at that.
I would bet you would.
Probably.
And
I also haven't
find
read a lot of big series where I have to retain that information. I've not done that.
I think I was just going to say, the deeper you get into the series, like by the time you get, because you're loving the series, by the time you get to books 3 or 4, somewhere in there, they're going to be living in such a place under your skin that they kind of carve out space that they don't necessarily maybe have yet.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I have somewhat of a transition into a next one from that.
Okay.
Not thematically whatsoever. If reading has given me a bit of, and I think this is really common, it's given me a bit of an escape, which I'm sure that it has for you as well. But like, I found myself yesterday specifically, and you know this, I was trying to write for book 2 of Strange Eons, and I had to call mom and say, like, this is crap, what I've done today. This is unusable. And I was so angry at myself.
First of all, that's always an artist's journey, and
it happens constantly to everybody.
Yes, that completely happens all the time.
And I
no
look
matter
back
who you
now
are.
and go, I was just having a bad day. But
you were having a moment. Yes,
I was
having a little fit.
But it's given me, like, I had that moment, and then I was able to walk away. I'm just going to read Janny. I'm just going to read Ships of Marior. And I was able to calm down very quickly just from that. Like, I've never had something like that before.
That factors into what I'm talking about of that personal time. You were able to take an emotional, artistic little tantrum you were throwing that we all have. Anyone that creates on any level and any medium is going to have these moments of, oh, why do I even try? This is,
Yeah,
and
I suck.
you were able to take that and remove yourself from it, sink yourself into somewhere else, and alleviate that tension because you gave yourself some personal time to go somewhere else.
Yeah, which is weird because in that specific circumstance, I would have thought it'd be the opposite. To be like, oh, my writing sucks. I'm going to read a literal master and feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me read some Janny works to juxtapose what I'm doing.
The incomparably talented Janny Wirtz. And I
here's
still
the
felt
thing
better.
with that, though, is somebody that's a master at telling story, like Janny Wirtz, who you're experiencing now. She will transport you. you might go in and you might have a couple paragraphs like, oh, come on. Who am I? This is, But then by paragraph 3 or 4, she's going to transport you into that. You're not going to be able to retain that moment of angst because she's going to move you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because she is a master.
This can't become 40 minutes talking about how great Janny is, but I will do
Well, no.
it.
Yeah, but don't tempt me with a good time. Just a quick break in the action to thank all of our correspondents, directors, and producers on Patreon. These people keep the lights on. They make decisions for us because we don't know what we're doing. We're not great at making the decisions around here. The decisions all the way from what I'm going to read next, what the book club of the month Patreon pick is going to be, but all the way up to video ideas and what we're going to do here on the channel coming up for you. If you're interested or you want to find out how you can be a part of this, right down there in the description box, click the Patreon link. It's got all the answers for you. And once again, thank you to all of these fine people that are helping us build the channel, our correspondents, directors, and producers.
Do you have like a number 3?
I've got a number 3. I have a number 3.
Okay.
And this is, I think this is so important, and I don't think this can, for my personal life anyway, and I think it's so prevalent in everyone else that's an avid reader, an active reader, and even just someone that every once in a while dips their toe in the water. I think it would make a difference as well. I find reading an enormously amazing shortcut to empathy and compassion.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
I've talked about this before. You're spending so many hours, so much time outside of your head and not in your shoes, but in these characters' shoes on these journeys. And the amazing thing about books that I think is a little bit different from a visual medium, like a movie or a television show, is to one extent, to one level or another, you visualize what's going on in the text. And because we are humans and we are story-making animals, there's no way from time to time, to story, that we don't start seeing a little bit of ourselves in these characters. And some of these characters are vastly, drastically different than we are ourselves. So we get to spend some time walking in some shoes that are enormously uncomfortable, maybe even punishing to some of our beliefs, maybe even challenging to some of our beliefs. But we can't help ourselves because we're storytelling animals, and we all are the main character of our own live story. So we're going to have to picture ourselves a little bit into these stories that we read. So we do spend time here. And as we spend time here, we get challenged, we get shifted, we get molded, and we spend time in these other characters' lives on these other journeys that maybe be extremely unfamiliar to us. And because of that time, I think we're able to spend some time when we come up from that book and that story outside in the world, and we're able to look at others that are walking a vastly different life than ours, with vastly different challenges than ourselves, and we're able to maybe give them a bit more grace and understanding than we would have if we had not spent the time in all those characters' shoes that we do as we're reading. And I think it's specifically because it's not a visual medium and you're able to transpose a little bit of who you are as you're picturing it into these characters. So I find that so true for myself. I've spent so many times, so many hours, so many years at this point. Like I say, I started at 10 years old. That's 50 years of doing this.
Yeah.
I've spent time picturing myself in these heroes' shoes and boots, wanting to emulate and be that. So there's no way some of that hasn't rubbed off, and I don't bring that out into my world and try to act the role that I've seen. And here's the thing, like it's a tough time. It's a tough time. We are all living in our little bubbles and our little lives, and we're not so much hearing each other or giving each other the grace and time. And I think that's why this is so important right now. And I think that's why it's so paramount that we try and get more people to try it out, because I think it would make a real difference in the world in that way.
That's so interesting. I've heard stories of like people in my life that, have certain feelings about different walks of life or people or, groups and such, and they'll see like a TV show that talks about that walk of life, and it completely opens their mind. Or they'll see a movie that, I had never, you find yourself in other people, and it makes you more empathetic, exactly like you were talking about. But I think that books are maybe like the most effective form of that.
Yeah.
For the same reason that you were talking about, like, what was it? That it gives you, your time and your escape. It's like, it's such a longer time that if you...
It is.
Just spend 2 hours in a movie, like, I've opened my mind. It's a little different than like, I've been following this guy for 40 hours reading this book. Like
yes. Yeah. So, it's I tell you, it's scary because I know people are not finding the time more and more and more to read, because it is that protracted period of time.
Yeah.
Leisure time is now coming in little chunks, little bits, and to read, you have to have that more of a wide open chunk of time, and fewer and fewer people are doing it. And it's such a gateway. It's such a shortcut to understanding, empathy, compassion, and it's just something we need so much right now.
Yeah.
In the world.
Well, I want to take a moment to talk about that then, like specifically why, or really how to read. Because it's basically, for me, I'm crazy busy all the time. I work constantly.
You really are.
I barely
You work more than one job.
I work.
Let's just be honest.
Technically 3, if it,
Yeah.
And if you, were look at my schedule and go like, all right, well, what hour can we set aside to read a chapter of, Wars of Light and Shadow chapters are pretty long. So what hour can I set aside to read a chapter? That hour doesn't exist. You're not going to find
I get you.
And I think a lot of people have a schedule like that these days. There's no time. It doesn't exist. And I recently just started going, screw it. I'm not going to set aside the hour, because that hour is never going to come. That's how I just don't read. So instead, I'm going to go, I'm going to take a break and eat lunch for 10 minutes and shove a quesadilla in my mouth and hold a book to the side and do this and read. And, it means that I do exactly what really messes with your organization, and I just stop mid-chapter. That's the end of a paragraph. I'm going to go back to work for a little bit and pick that up later. But it works. For me, it totally works. I hope it works for other people, and that it's totally worth the try. Give it a shot. Or reading multiple books at a time. I didn't think that was going to work for me either. And this past week, I've gotten like coming up on a quarter of the way through Demon in White, and done, I think, like 2 chapters of Wars of Light and Shadow. Like, that's the most I've read in a week, maybe within the past year.
And I will say, look, love audiobooks for this. Love them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I got to wash dishes. I got to cut the grass. I got to drive to work.
Yeah.
Our lives are filled with gotta, like without a doubt. And audiobooks are such an amazing chance to let you take in that story, visualize yourself. You're not looking at your words yourself, but you're still not a visual medium. You're still getting the opportunity to visualize and inhabit these characters in a way that the visual medium doesn't give you, I think, through audiobook.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. And I also think that doom scrolling thing that's very interesting. We're used to, here's the double-edged sword. We're used to taking in things in bite-sized little things like, it's a 2-minute video. What can it hurt? But like you said, 20, 30, 40 minutes down the road, you go, oh my God, I've been here 30 minutes. I should put this down. That's 30 minutes. You could have picked up a book. You could have picked up a book during that lunch break and saw how much of a chapter you could get into. You could have picked up a book in that time right before you go to sleep and get 5 or 10 pages in before you go to sleep, as opposed to looking at your phone or iPad or laptop or anything else. And that screen is not good to look at right before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
A piece of paper is far better to look at. So just give yourself that. I'm going to change these things. I'm going to give myself the 20, 30 minutes before I go to sleep, and I'm going to open a book instead of looking at a screen. And you will find those little chunks of time. You can find them. An audiobook is a huge help.
And I think it's important to force yourself to change those things too. Like
it's not easy.
Surprised because I deleted Spotify too, which
oh wow, that's huge.
I know, but it's because I wanted to change. Whenever I have a knee-jerk reaction to pull out my phone or just ingest content, I want it to be a book or an audiobook. I want that. I want to train myself to that's the knee-jerk reaction. And anytime I enter a car, my knee-jerk reaction is to open Spotify and start playing music while I drive. So I deleted Spotify.
Absolutely.
So that I'm forced to go, all right, well, now I'm sitting in traffic. What am I going to do? Reinstall Spotify? I'll just open Audible and start playing an audiobook.
These are the steps that if any of these things that we're talking about, and it's like, I understand people go, oh, you're an old man. Like, don't talk to me about the modern world. I mean, you've been on this path for a long time. This is what you do. You know, you don't understand it's like, that's why I think you're so important, because you're just starting this journey. And if any of these things on your list are striking somebody like, man, that sounds like I could have more of that in my life.
Yeah.
Like it is a conscious choice and an effort that you have to do to get them.
And it definitely doesn't work for everybody. You know, some people get crazy amounts of I didn't delete Instagram for a long time because it was like my partner and I are long distance and that's how we talk to each other. We send Instagram reels to each other. I can't delete that. Yeah. There's no way.
No.
I need that. And you know, some people have their own lives. They can't do that.
A lot of people. Yeah. Absolutely.
Everybody's different. But if you're not one of those people and you're just afraid that like, I can't get rid of Instagram.
If you're one of those people and you go to the gym, try an audiobook once.
Try an audiobook.
Or drive to work. Try an audiobook once.
You know, and I will say that if you're afraid like, oh, but I'll miss my DMs, I'll miss a message, I'll miss this email. It's like, you'd be surprised how well your brain is able to remember those things. Because I found myself like, oh, I got rid of YouTube on my phone as well. And sometimes I like to check my subscription box. I got rid of, I think I got rid of Discord for like a day. And every once in a while I was going, oh, I should pull it up on my computer and check it just for a minute. Yeah. And it's way healthier to do that for me. I know everyone's different, but it was way healthier to have the relationship of not have constant access to it. But just every once in a while go, oh yeah, I should open up Discord on my computer real quick when I get a chance and check if I have a DM. Oh, I don't? Okay, close, back to doing something else. It's way better. Absolutely. And I think that those are great points. And I think that you'll find that you can somewhat be, as I was talking about, we're filled with lives of gotta. Right? Right.
You can be, I gotta answer these DMs right away. I gotta be on call for whoever needs me here.
Yeah.
You don't. You probably don't.
That's
you probably
easy.
Don't.
That one's easy for me because I answer things like 2 weeks late anyway.
I'm well aware.
Yeah.
So whose turn was it? We went off on some kind of tangent.
I think it's mine. I have my final number 4.
Okay, hit me.
Which kind of relates to the last number 3 that I had, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. For me, it's
a cheat.
It is a little bit. It's surprisingly, in a strange way, removed a lot of. I think I've talked about this before. When we wrote Discovery together, I had crazy amounts of imposter syndrome. And like I'm not experienced enough to be doing this, and I got over this. You know, everyone has their days. I'm not experienced to be working with someone as talented as Mom. I'm not experienced to be brainstorming with someone as brilliant as you. You know, just the things that every artist tells themselves. And in a weird way, same deal. You would think that reading stuff like Janie Wertz's prose is like, oh, well, I'm never going to be that. That's insane. She's a genius. But to me, it's almost like more reading almost makes the entire medium more approachable.
Oh,
as I can feel like I'm diving into Janie Wertz's prose that someone called dense, you always call it transportive, that is either way that you want to call it, it requires more of you than the average book, right?
A bit of focus, a bit more
It
focus.
requires a bit more focus. And sometimes I find myself going back, oh man, I just glazed over that paragraph. Let me go back real quick and do that one again. And it feels like you're learning a new language in a way. And once you get accustomed to it, I understand how to read this now. My brain is accustomed to it. Now I'm just blazing
That's
right
that nimbleness I was talking about. I totally feel you.
Yeah. And when you have that feeling of like, well, if this is like prose that people would call dense, you call transportive, and in a chapter, I'm able to learn this like new language per se, it makes me feel like I've conquered something and I understand the medium a little more. That maybe I'm not as stupid as the imposter syndrome that my brain is telling me that I am. So it's definitely given me a lot of that.
Isn't that phenomenal? I love this because we are so singular on this planet because we will look at a piece of art, we'll look at a story, or we'll hear a story.
Yeah.
And it moves us, it transports us, it inspires us to do the most humane thing, to try to reach beyond what human is and obtain something more and create something from nothing. Looking at the beauty of creation, being it in any medium, oftentimes moves and pushes and inspires me to want to create something myself, something I want to have that. I want to create something from nothing, whether it be whatever medium is floating your boat at the moment. So I think it's that siren call of who we are and why we are storytelling animals that you're feeling and getting moved by and inspired by there.
Yeah. Did you ever have that relationship with it when you were... Your medium of choice is more acting. Did you have that when you were younger?
I did. I always pictured myself when I would be this age,
right.
And because theater is, I would say it's a young man's game, but some of the greatest roles you can't do until you get to this age. But
yeah,
I always figured, when I had set my toys aside, I would be in some little mountain cabin somewhere and I would be writing my stories. That was kind of always my...
Oh, really?
That was always my end game that I always had in mind. And then, I met your mother and you talk about how brilliant she is. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
It became something else. So yeah, I absolutely know that feeling. Absolutely know that feeling. Yeah.
What is it like further on in the journey now where you are?
I would say further on in the journey, you get to a point where you're able to understand the mechanics much quicker and much easier.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes, like you talk about writing Discovery together, and you and Mom will say, "Well, I don't see how you can see the pathway for this so easily." We'll be in a corner and we call you in, and I've seen so many work and come together that you start to be able to deconstruct that and put it back together in a way very quickly because you've seen so many.
So then okay. So when you read it, it's almost like you're seeing all the building blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Does that get tiring?
Mm-mm.
Or like ruin the facade of the story?
Never, because we are all such amazing... You exist in this window of time on this planet, this genetic code, this singular...
Oh, we're getting like metaphysical.
Being of energy and light, right?
Uh-huh.
You have never existed before, completely like this.
Sure.
You will never exist again. Think of the mathematical impossibility level that you exist right now, right here, as you are. The only time that'll ever happen in history, past, present, only past, future, only present, right? Only this little window of time. So everyone that's come to those mechanics and used those tinker toys or building blocks and put together story, they're going to do a little bit different. They can do it. There's
Interesting.
always nuance. There's always voice. There's always topspin that you haven't seen before. That's why the true masters, that's why you can have a Hamlet for each and every generation over and over and over again, even though it was written in the 1600s. Does it ever get tiring? No, it remains thrilling and energizing and moving to see it over and over again work and have me have an emotional or an intellectual response to something, even though I've been doing it for 50 years. It's magic, brother. It's magic.
I was about to say, that's so cool that, like, as someone that has just like dove into the medium for so many decades now, that there is still moments of like, oh, there's still an undefinable magic about this medium that I can't quantify.
And there will be forever.
Yeah.
Think of your favorite writer. Brandon Sanderson, Joe Abercrombie, Christopher Rocchio. Pick one, whoever your favorite may be.
Yeah.
David Mitchell. They're cranking out work right now that will never exist again. It will never be cranked out quite like that again. Revel in that. Enjoy it. Eat it up because we have a finite amount of time to do it. So no, never, absolutely never, ever gets tiresome.
That's so cool. Huh. Okay, well, what about your number 4 then? Is it how
My number
metaphysical can we get? Can we go further?
Maybe. My number 4 is it gives me. We're talking about that doom scrolling a little bit,
Yeah.
and it gives me. Oftentimes, these stories we read in speculative fiction and genre, the way we focus on here on the channel, it's a fantastical fiction channel. We have that crazy funhouse mirror of our world and topically what we're dealing with as a people and a culture and a time. And it's seeing these things dealt with, ideas of othering, servitude. Pick a theme, right? Seeing these things portrayed allows me to recognize them and more ably deal with them in my actual real world, in my real space and time. I think it gives me a level of understanding and nuance, possibly, that I don't always have. That's what I love about this genre, is that, sure, there are flights of fancy, and some of them are just for fun. But I bet if you look hard enough, if you think about it just a minute, and you start to transpose and you start to move over these stories and these characters and these situations into your world, into your human experiences, you'll start to notice how much of these speculative fiction and concrete real world overlay each other. And don't ever let anyone tell you, oh, this is a waste of time. You need to read some real stuff. Oftentimes, these magical stories are more real than anything else you can get because there is true magic in the world. So if you see that portrayed in an art form, and then you start to overlay that and transpose that onto yours, you can maybe start to see some answers to the problems that we have about that are outside the box, or understanding of these problems that we have in our day-to-day that sometimes are just flummoxing, and we just put blinders on and go about our day because there's nothing I can do and I'm powerless and I've got nothing to do about that. But you do. You have just enough power in the character that you're building in that life story day to day to make those decisions of how you'll handle it and how you'll react and how you'll respond to the other people around you that are sharing this window of time that we have. So it's those reflections of my world that I see in these fantastical worlds that allow me to process and understand more deeply what is going on in my own life, in my own world.
Interesting. That brings up like a whole question that I've like always wanted to make just like its own video on this. Is escapism a lie?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, is it in the way that it's defined as it's not truly an entire escape from reality. It can't be.
It is not. It's that double duty that we talk about sometimes, right? When we're working together.
Yeah.
It's that heavy lifting of double duty. Do you escape? Do you get to go somewhere else? Did you get to leave your wheel spinning of you being an imposter when you had your little artist tantrum and go somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yes, you did. But when you went there, you're still there. You can't outrun yourself, boyo. You're always going to be who you are.
So escapism
and you're always going to
is really a technicality.
Escapism is a necessary and needed usage of your time to better further yourself when you come back to whatever you were dealing with. You're going to be better able to deal with that when you come back. Because you're going to, whatever it was you're going to always, you're going to come back to it. It's just like, I wish I could just pick everything up and get out of here, move away. You know what? Still going to have all the problems that you take with you.
Yeah.
You can't outrun who you are. So, escapism, you can't outrun the life you lead, the world you live in. It's going to filter in. And these artists that are making these incredible, magical, nuanced, layered stories are reflecting all of those things that we're dealing with in society. So you have those moments of clarity. Mm-hmm. It's baked into the cake. You may not even realize it.
Wow.
But it's there.
You're a wise man.
Well, I have my ideas, and probably none of them are right. Yeah. So
well, I want to finish.
These are my four things.
Those are your four things. I want to finish off with a question to you that I find really interesting. I'm curious if you will too. If you were to pretend that I was you at 25 years old and you're, there's some time rip and you're talking to yourself and you're going to give some form of wisdom about, your reading journey and what you will become as an older man, what would you say to yourself?
I would say, don't shortchange yourself.
Ooh, in what way?
Don't shortchange yourself, and don't think you are alone. Because everything you deal with as you move through your life, and you're going to deal with a lot. You're just starting, and you're going to build a relationship and a life and everything that comes your way. It's part of a human tapestry and experience. And so many before you have dealt with it in an infinite, beautiful number of ways. And the amazing artists that have allowed themselves to observe and stand outside of the human experience and catalog that in art, in any medium, music, poetry, prose, painting, theater, film. They have all the answers are there. All the answers are there. Don't shortchange yourself. Wade into the pool of humanity of those that have come before you and take in the story of the artists that have cataloged all those experiences, because in that art, in that catalog, is the answer to everything you will ever go through.
Oh, good God. We can get more metaphysical. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
I had a great time. Yeah. I had a great time. How about everybody out there? What are your reasons? What makes you keep picking up a book, keep coming back to story again and again and again? We would love to hear. We would absolutely love to share them with you. And talk back and forth about them. Hit us in comments about it, because we love comments. We're going to answer each and every one as quickly as we possibly can. That's the whole reason we started this channel. Hey, if you can hit that like button, that helps us go a little bit further out into this YouTube world and meet new people. And every new person that comes is a new individual that helps us interpret these stories in a completely different way. And that makes us all richer and wiser. And that's what we're all about here. And if this is your first time here, if this just was the first click here on the channel, hit that subscription button. Oh my gosh, what an amazing group of people we have here. And not only here, but all over social media, right down there in the description box. Look through everything. We're in so many places, including, well, they're all down there. Explore. Knock yourself out if you're interested. And you'll meet the most amazing group of people that you can join and be a part of and talk story with. And I think that kind of wraps us up for today.
I do believe it is. That was lovely.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, my son.
Thank you.
If you're still here, you're book people. And in our book, that makes you the best people. Thanks so much for joining us here on Talking Story.